Laredo, take us out.
Take her out.
All right. Yeah. Blast off. Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go OffWorld. Geek out with us live where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go OffWorld. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies, and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Blast off! Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go OffWorld. Let's go OffWorld. Let's go OffWorld. Hey, hey, hey! Let's go OffWorld tonight.
Woohoo and choo-choo. I will not be here Friday. I was jonesing for a little off-world action. So I am here, and I've got a few folks with me. First off, Joe Gonzalez. Joe, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. You know why, Curtis?
Why is that?
Because it's time to kick the tires and light the fires and make it so.
There you go.
We're going off.
There you go. For a quick job that I did on the thumbnail for this episode, I have to say some of my best work. I am very, very pleased with it, how it came out.
I'll agree with that.
So just for anybody that jumped in and maybe didn't have a chance to take a look at the thumbnail, here we go. This is Joe Picard. Joe Luke Picard.
I gotta get the eyes down. He looks so stern.
Oh, it's so great.
Hell yeah.
So I found there's not a ton of photos of you. Okay. Typically my go-to when I need a photo of somebody is I go to Cullen's photos from Legion's Con, because Cullen takes 10 trillion freaking photos, right?
Right.
And I found one of you where you're sitting down with Malcolm to where you're facing forward, because your profile pic, you're kind of to the side. So if I want to get your stuff straight on, it's hard to find. But I found one, and I tell you what, I sized it up and went to put it on Picard, and it's it's a perfect fit. You guys were meant to be the same person. So.
Well, I mean, hey, man, that's a compliment for me for sure. And I just appreciate that. I think you're the only person that has the dedication to look up photos of myself. So, yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be an off-world without the star of the show, because now it's not just off-world. We used to have 2.0. We used to have the regular off-world. Now we have the new off-world, new and improved, with 100% more rage. We got Blake, aka Recon Rage, in the house. What's going on, sir?
Hey, this is a treat to have off-world on Tuesday night.
Yep. Tuesday night off-world. So
you can never get enough off-world.
I just finished, so I've been going through and watching Picard. The last few weeks had been recommended pretty highly by Joe and a few others. And so I've been watching it. I just finished it up yesterday, and right away I let Joe know when I was on the last episode, and he was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "We'll talk," because I didn't want to waste it. So
right.
So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight, folks. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to throw out in the chat, feel free. If anybody is a super Picard nerd and wants to jump on with us, let me know. I'll shoot you a link. So, but that's what we're going to be discussing. So, Blake, have you seen Picard?
I have not. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be learning, because a friend of my at work has suggested I watch Picard numerous times. And it's not that I'm not interested. It's just time and trying to factor all the stuff in I want to do. So maybe after this conversation and me just listening, maybe I just will start that.
Well,
right.
I got to let you know, as well as folks in the chat, that we may get into some spoiler territory. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's going to be hard to discuss this without spoilers. So we'll do our best for the most part to not, hit like anything that's like super plot crucial. But there's going to be some stuff that we're definitely going to have to discuss. So,
Right.
So first off, Joe, I don't know if you know this, but is it done now? Is the 3 seasons we got? Is that it, or do you know
That's
if
it. So what I have read is that the hope was they would do those 3 seasons and then jump off to a new series called Star Trek Legends. That was what they teased in that last episode.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that didn't materialize.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's what I.
So they were setting it up for a new show, but as far as we know, the new show is not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's what I've read. Now that's the internet, so who knows? But that's the time frame.
Starscream is saying fingers crossed for Star Trek Legacy. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Starscream also says, "Let's kick the nacelles and light the warp cores." So
kicking in the cell would probably hurt, but
yeah.
But that fits.
We do have Marines in the house. That is correct.
Bye.
Jeremy says, "I was glad when it was recommended to me. They told me to watch seasons 1 and 3 and skip 2. I don't know if I would say skip 2, but 2 is definitely, I think, the weakest out of the 3. So, let's see. Starscream says season 3 might be the best Trek TV movie ever. So, all right. So let's get into kind of your thoughts on the series as a whole, Joe, and maybe kind of some of the individual season breakdowns, like what you like, dislike, that kind of thing.
Well, and I will, just as a disclaimer, I watched season 1 and 2 when they came out. And then I've watched season 3 recently. I'm bad with watching TV, so I got away from it and then didn't get back to it. So I've seen 3 recently. It's been a hot minute since I watched season 1 and 2, so they're a little more fuzzy,
Well, I just binged it all, so I'm fresh on the memory train. So I will fill in whatever gaps you need. But
all right,
yeah, your thoughts on the series, as a whole, as well as kind of broken down.
Well, season 1 I thought was pretty good. It was a little strange. I guess not strange. So this is kind of picking up the Nemesis-ish storyline, right? Where there was the Hobus supernova, right? That destroyed Romulus and Remus. That led into the 2009 reboot and Spock being a part of that. So they continued Picard's part, I guess. So he was trying to help the Romulans in the part of the story that we didn't see leading up to that, which is the basis for the beginning of that series. And then season 1 gets a little out in the weeds a bit, I think, with the Soong androids and some of the directions they took that, and then that weird thing at the end, you know what I'm talking about, the portal in the sky. I don't know how many people are fans of Mass Effect, but I was just like, that is almost direct from Mass Effect. So I was a little off-put by that they didn't do something maybe, and it's never referenced again.
Well, and that's one of the problems that I had with the series as a whole, was that it felt like each of the 3 seasons were totally independent of the other seasons. Like it did not feel like there was any connection whatsoever. In season 1, there's a kind of a Data storyline that plays out, and you're like, okay, Data's done. Right. And then season 3, it's like, oh, Data's back again. It's like, but like we keep thinking that like we're done with Data, and it's like, no, he's back. And then season 2, there's quite a bit of a Borg presence in season 2, and then season 3 they act like they haven't seen the Borg in like forever. So it's like, you know, like what's going on? So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed each of the seasons. I enjoyed the first season. I enjoyed quite a bit. The second season, I was like, man, like anytime you start messing with like time always fucks me up. And any TV show, movie, whatever, when you start like, you know, going back and changing time, like it gets real messy real quick, you know. And they even will start out like, hey, you know, we got to be very careful. Like we can't talk to people. We can't, you know, and then next thing you know, it's like, they're just like, you know, killing people and do, you know, it's like no care in the world as to, you know, how that's going to affect things and stuff. You know, like, oh, we'll kill people. We'll sleep with people. We'll do whatever. It's fine. You know, but if at the beginning, it's like, we got to be so careful, you know?
Yeah. And that's pretty classic Trek. I mean, you know, that even back to the original series, it was like that. Was it? Oh, the Guardian of Forever, whatever episode he was in, you know, that's one of those classic Star Trek episodes. It's one of my favorites, but like
refresh my memory on that one.
The portal, the talking portal. I am the Guardian of Forever.
Yeah.
And then they take the portal back in time, and then it made the Nazis win World War II.
Gotcha.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really good episode, actually. One of my favorites of all time. But that's, I don't know. Again, seasons 1 and 2, I wouldn't say that they were bad. There were some things that, you know, when they were, because they're just for me. I'm a Trek fan, right? Like the LCARS display on the ships, like the way the controls and stuff. I love those. When they started doing the Iron Man moving, you know, holograms around and stuff, I'm like, I didn't need that, you know. Like, there's, I think maybe things like that bothered me a bit more than some of the actual plot points. But like season 2 and the stuff with the Borg, to me, felt super unnecessary, you know, to the overall plot. It seemed like they put it there just to put it there. I don't know. Like, yeah,
it didn't feel like that needed to be there. It was kind of the way they tied it up at the end was just kind of this, you know, nice little bow that they put on it, as if everything worked out the way it should have. And it's like,
right. Yeah. You know, and I get what they were going for. I think they were trying to get where the Romulans are trying to rebuild their society very fast. So they're trying to use, you know, advanced Borg technology. But the way that it played out was just,
there were aspects of season 2 that I thought was really cool. So like the fact that they were kind of experimenting on an old Borg ship and old Borg like people to try to like get that technology. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yes.
I liked seeing Q in season 2 and just kind of what his storyline was. And then even like the young Guinan in season 2, I thought that whole part was really cool. Like, you know, so there was definitely some aspects that I liked of season 2. It wasn't like it was just hot garbage, but it was just really messy with the traveling through time and, you know, trying to get back and what's actually going on and what's Q's agenda. Like with season 1, I didn't know what was going on, but it was like a good mystery. It was like you were kind of uncovering it as you go. Season 2, I was just like, felt like I was kind of lost.
Well, because it didn't feel like they had a direction for it.
Yeah.
A lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
Again, not bad, but you know.
And you got to see this kind of alternate future that, you know, was not a great, it was not great. So they were trying to prevent that, which was kind of cool. So yeah, like I said, there were some aspects of it I did really enjoy, but I would say I really enjoyed season 1. Season 2 was a struggle.
The twist at the end of season 2, I thought was actually a good twist that I was really curious to see where they were going to go with that. And spoiler alert, nowhere.
That's
nowhere.
And that's the problem I have. So like season 2 ends and you're like, oh, well, this is cool. I can't wait to see how this plays out in season 3. And then it's like they started over, right? It's almost as if like when you watch the Star Wars sequels and you've got like the different director and like it just like you watch, you're like, this is a completely different movie than what like there's like these don't even feel like the same characters, right? Same kind of thing. Like when we got to season 3, it was like whoever wrote and directed season 3 was like, forget season 1 and 2. We're just going to give some fan service in season 3, give as many callbacks to the original series as we can, and just make this like a fan season.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what happened. From what I've read,
yeah,
they just didn't have the budget to bring back the new characters and the original cast. So they just had to make that hard call and go with it. But at the same time, man, the fan service part of it, spot on. Very happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed it, including kind of the last scene of season 3 without really spoiling it, but like the scene where they're all together at the end before kind of teasing what series may not happen, but the last of the next gen crew when they're together, like I was hoping that's how they would end it, and the fact that they did, it was just like fucking perfect. Like it was just so good.
Agreed.
Yeah, but overall really loved it, but it just felt very discombobulated from one season to the next. But season 3 was, I think it was the best. I really enjoyed season 1 too, but I think just because of all of the, the people that we got to see in season 3, and you got to see where they were at and what they've been doing, I think they make it the best.
Yeah, and I think that added to it for me that they just didn't throw them in as fan service. Like there's a story, there's an ongoing story, and each of the characters get brought in as their part of that story. And I think that was better than just walking, Picard's walking through Starbase and, oh, hey, Geordi, how's it going, man? And then,
it's time for another mission. Let's go.
Right. Like they actually made it make sense. So,
it's like I got a meme with a Care Bear in a car, and it says like, get in, loser, we're going Karen.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. So yeah, it was cool because it wasn't even like, for the most part, that they were searching out for these old members of the crew and trying to get them on. It was like they were just going about what they were doing to solve this mystery, and just kept kind of encountering more people as they went.
And some of the obscure characters, like when Ro Lauren popped back up.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, hey, that's a cool throwback because so I don't know if you're a Deep Space Nine fan at all. But
a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so the character Kira Nerys, the Bajoran main character.
Yeah,
they had originally wrote that part for Ro Lauren.
Oh, okay.
The actress turned down the role; she didn't want to stay on the series, so that's why they brought in Kira Nerys, as a character to fill that role. So seeing her come back for Picard, I thought was neat because I thought she was just done with Star Trek. So.
Well, and they did a really good job of writing that part too, because like when she shows up, you're not sure what to expect. Like, you're kind of like, okay, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? What's going on?
And I think that was probably my favorite thing about season 3 is that they kind of kept us in that kind of like cliffhanger spot almost through the whole season.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that part of it. It made me want to watch the next episode. There was like a compulsion to find out what happens next.
So. The new character that was introduced in season 3, right? We'll just call him that. The kind of mystery around that new character, the way that played out, I didn't think was like the most impressive writing. Like I don't know, just felt kind of convenient, I guess. but and the character was okay. Like, I mean, if that had continued with the season or the series that they kind of teased, I probably would have watched it, but I don't know that I would have been over the moon excited to watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I could see that with the type of character he was. I could see where he would rub you the wrong way a little bit, you know, being kind of wishy-washy the way that he was. Let's put it that way, you know.
Well, the other thing, and I talked about this, I think it might have been on Shooting the Shelf a couple weeks ago or so with Jesse. May have been before the show, I'm not sure. But that same character that plays this one that we're talking about, this kind of new character in season 3, played this guy in the series Outlander that Nate Strong got me watching, right? And he's like a really bad guy. Like, he's a pirate, you know, rapes people, kills people, like just a total jerk. And for some reason, like, I've got this thing where when I see people in other things, I don't really recognize, I don't know who I'm like, I just know that for some reason, when I look at this guy's face, I don't like him. And I don't know why. It's like, oh yeah, because he played that other guy in that other thing,
right,
you know?
Right.
And it's just like, so you instantly, I'm like, I don't like this guy. And so that might have also kind of played a part as well.
Yeah, I could see that totally.
But,
But I do like how they, let's see, we're avoiding spoilers. So the thing with Picard's body,
yeah,
and that being part of the story, I enjoy that, because I genuinely, when they were like, oh, this is what they took, I was like, well, why would they do, you know, like,
yeah,
like, I'm sure they're not taking this a weird direction, so why would they, you know, want to steal an old man's body?
Well, and then even once they kind of thought they had figured it out, it wasn't that, it was something different, right? And it's like, I did like that it was like this mystery that kept kind of unfolding as it went along.
The only one that was when he goes into that zone mode in that one scene, and he does that awesome kick butt thing and takes out like the guards, and then you find out what's actually going on, and that kind of doesn't fit. Like, I've never seen that lead to super martial arts. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I was like, that was kind of weird. Okay. So there's a few things like that, but it was a cool scene, fun to watch.
Well, and then, you know, talking about kind of how the seasons don't really match up. So like in season 1, we see Riker and Deanna, right? In season 1, where there's a part where he's kind of hiding out, right? And so we see them, and they're like, they've got a place, they've got a nice place of land, they're making brick oven pizza and playing the, you know, the happy couple with a daughter there, right? And then in season 3, they're talking about like a different child that they had lost, and that basically it's been like terrible for years, and that, you know, Riker kind of needed to get away from it, and they had some problems, but that person didn't exist in the first season. They didn't even make mention of it. There was no animosity between the two of them in the first season.
They reference it in the first
Did they?
season.
I mean, it wasn't like it was like in season 3 when it starts out, like you feel like this has destroyed his life, right? But in season 1, they seem totally fine.
Okay, it's been a minute, but it seems like I remember that from the first season. Like, they do reference it, and it's kind of an uncomfortable thing. They didn't go into depth on it, but I feel like
I might have missed
like
that.
it was. Yeah, I feel like it was.
If they did mention it, it didn't feel like it was affecting their relationship. Whereas by season 3, like that's the main plot point, is that their relationship is struggling.
Yeah,
because of the death of, you know, of a child. Which
I
mean, that's definitely something that would wear on a couple if you lost a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to see them kind of being lovey-dovey in season 1, and then season 3, it's like, we need some time apart. You know, just kind of, it's just weird.
It is kind of weird, but I think it's kind of set up in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe that stuff we're seeing in the first, because gosh, it sure seems like I remember them talking about it in the first. They
may have. I might admit it definitely didn't seem like a major,
but it wasn't a part of the plot of season 1, so I could see where that wouldn't, you know, like hook you know.
Yeah.
But it kind of added to some of the the tension in season 3.
Mhm.
I liked
Yeah.
the way that they implemented it, into the plot, and even, Riker and Picard having a disagreement. And I feel like that's, because of that, like, I don't know. I like the way that they included that and gave some emotional gravitas to some of those scenes because of it.
What did you think about the tie-in with like the Dominion and the shapeshifters and stuff like that?
I thought that it was done. Okay. Again, I'm a pretty big Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
Right. I could totally see the Dominion hating, like some of the changelings hating humans because they had, what was that virus called? They infected them with a virus.
I can't remember, but it basically like
or something like that.
Yeah, it was basically genocide. Yeah.
And they had to sign the peace treaty, to keep from being. So I have a hard time with this. This is just getting into a little bit of Joe, but
yeah.
What I love most about Star Trek is the ideal future for humans.
Mm-hmm.
Humans evolve to the point that they're not jackasses anymore and then head out into the universe to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that as time goes on, they want stories that are more and more of Starfleet has darkness. They're bad guys in the background. And I don't like it because that's not that ideal future for humans that makes me love the series so much,
Right.
So I'm a little off put a little bit that Section 31, the secret darkness in Starfleet was tormenting the changelings, and that's what led to them being. However, all that being said, the changeling villain was freaking awesome.
So good.
So good and so well done. And everything about that character as a villain, absolutely loved it.
One of the creepiest, coolest villains. Yeah. Like they nailed it with that one. And that's not like, it's the chick from Pulp Fiction that's robbing the restaurant, right?
Yeah, right.
And I would not like immediately look at that one and go, yeah, let's make this lady our big bad, right? Like
right.
But dude, she was creepy and cool and man, played it well. I'm with you on the whole darkness in Starfleet thing. Like if you think back on it, season 1, you've got the Vulcan that's like the head of security that's not really a Vulcan, it's a Romulan. Ooh, like that's never been done before, that a Romulan pretended to be a Vulcan, right? And so, you've got that like infiltrating high levels of Starfleet, right? In season 2, you basically have this alternate version where basically Starfleet is, evil, and they're like, master race kind of taking out every other aliens, right?
Yeah.
And then in season 3, you have, they're, torturing the changelings and all this and that. And then you get where there's people that have infiltrated Starfleet on the changeling side and have taken various positions throughout, so you don't know who to trust. So it's 3 seasons of not trusting Starfleet, which
and that
is kind of a rough one.
Yeah, that rubs me the wrong way, man, because that's just not the Star Trek that I fell in love with. I get what they're doing. They're trying to write for a more modern audience, I think. And I get that. It's just that's not the Star Trek that I love, So
that being said, the way that they explained how the changelings had evolved and why they were able to do what they were able to do and kind of infiltrate the levels that they have, I thought was pretty cool the way that they did that. So
and at least they took the effort to explain it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very important, that it wasn't just, it didn't feel unnatural, to have these characters doing things that they couldn't do because they actually explained it as part of the story. So that was nice too, that it wasn't just an afterthought. Oh, well, they can just do this now, How
many years in the future from like now are they supposed to be? Do you know?
Let's see. It's like 1,000 years, isn't it? It doesn't.
I thought it was like 700 or something like that, but So that's why when they went back in the past and came basically to like this time, right?
Right.
I was surprised that there was a Soon there identical looking to the ones that we know, right? Like they all like that family tree. It's just like carbon copies. And
Imagine
was
that.
already working on that kind of stuff like that many years beforehand, right? Like
Yeah. Star Trek's pretty far in the future. I don't think did they come back to our modern day?
yeah, it was like 2021 or 2022 or something is where they came back to.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't remember that exactly, but yeah, that's a little. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the one guy that was the captain of the ship, you know, he's God,
I remember he decided,
Rio or something.
Yeah,
like
Rios.
You know, Rios. He goes into like this clinic, and all of a sudden, like ICE shows up, and he doesn't have paperwork because he's from the future. Like he doesn't have like a driver's license or anything. And so yeah, they get him with like immigration stuff, and I'm like, you know, because that's what you want to see when you're watching Star Trek is somebody being arrested and being deported for you know, it's like come on.
So it says that season 2 or 1 took place in 2399.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Season 2 took place in 2401, and season 3 takes place in 2402. And the Picard series itself is 19 years after the events of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
But when did they go back to in time?
Good question. That one I haven't found yet.
I'm pretty sure they said like 2020 something.
And it could have been intentional for a narrative on modern day things that are going on. Like Star Trek's not new to that. They just usually do it in a more subtle way.
Yeah.
You know, in the past it would have been about aliens being deported.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah,
2024 Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I guess if they're, you know, like only like 200 years in the future, I mean, that still seems, I don't know, to have a Soon already kind of working on fucking Android stuff back then. Like, I don't know, it just seemed very weird. But anywho.
I mean, Brent Spiner's awesome. I don't blame them for wanting to have him in the series more.
It's just hard because he's getting older and
he is.
Like, so then you have
well, it just like,
you know,
like Data in season 3 with like the turkey flap neck, you know, it's just, you know,
you would think that with today's like CGI and stuff that they could just like de-age him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I'm not sure why they didn't just do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at like Kurt Russell in Guardians 2. Like, they made him look like he's 20 years old again. Like, how do you can't you just tighten up Data a little bit? You know,
right? Yeah. Just give him a makeover. Yeah.
Or Indiana Jones in his last movie.
Yeah.
When they went back in time.
Yeah. So I don't know how that stuff goes.
Carbon copy, family trees don't branch. Huh? There you go.
The Soon's apparently dope because Brent Spiner has played every Soon that I'm aware of, like male Soon. So.
I did like that whole kind of dynamic between Soon and Q, where Q is trying to manipulate him and stuff. Like that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it, you know, like I said, season 2 isn't like without any sort of you know, coolness whatsoever. Like it is a good series or season still. It's still, I think, worth watching. It just gets, you know, into the time travel weeds a bit.
I think it's just too all over the place. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they had done 5 seasons and split up some of the plot points a little bit more, that it would have felt better. Again, not that it was bad, but like Q is playful but also vindictive, so you've always got like his episodes were always fun, but there was this edge to him because you knew he could just wipe everybody out if he wanted to, and that stuff is fun. But it's like we touch on the Borg stuff. Hugh is there, and he was a character that I liked a lot from the Next Generation. I felt like they did him dirty in that one.
I liked that we got a little taste of lore in season 3.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's
was one of my favorite characters. So, yeah.
Which, for anybody that doesn't know, that's just jerk data.
It is. It's jerk data with feelings. So, yeah.
So,
yeah, I liked that part of it. So, the one gal that was in season 1 and 2, the blonde, didn't like her at all. Like right from the get go, I was like,
oh really?
Yeah, it's like I don't like this character. And then when there's a moment in season 1 where she does something pretty freaking terrible, and you're like, I knew it. I knew I didn't like this lady, And then like season 2, she does bad shit as well, and you're like, I knew I didn't like this lady. Like, I don't know, something about her, like right from the get go, I was like, I don't like this chick. So
I was really curious to see where they were going with her character on that stuff. And spoiler alert, nowhere. So yeah.
I mean, they did to a point, and then then it just like, okay.
I'm hoping that's
3.
something because it is Star Trek. So
yeah,
they might pick it up with another series later on. You know what I mean? Just because the storyline isn't finished doesn't mean it's dead. They might do something with it later on. So
yeah. I mean, we're kind of getting into spoiler territory here. So anybody that doesn't want spoilers, just FYI. But in season 2, like getting to the point where maybe the Borg could learn to do something different. Like, hey, you've seen the possible futures. You know that you lose. You know that the way you're doing things is not going to work, right? So maybe there's a better way of doing it. And the fact that like there was like this glimmer that like maybe they would change and kind of do something a little bit better, right, was kind of cool. And then, like you said, at the end of season 2, you're like, okay, well, I'm interested to see where this goes. And season 3 starts, and it's like, we haven't heard from the Borg in like 20 years. We don't know what the hell's going on,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I do, and I will say this very strongly. I feel like the Borg have been overused for the type of villain that they are. I think that they've been overutilized to the point that they don't have that same punch that they did. Like when the Borg showed up for anything in Next Generation, you were like, oh no, somebody's getting their ass kicked. And now it's just like, I think that's how I'm a little disappointed on that. Yeah.
It was probably the best part of Next Gen, like the original series, like in terms of just like the big bad, right? The big bad. And so I could see them wanting to go back to that well, but you're right. It doesn't have the same as what I think,
because
like,
they were terrifying in Next Gen. Like legitimately scary, because
I think the peak of that was the whole Locutus thing. And like, okay, now it's Picard and the Borg versus Starfleet. Like, this is it. And once that kind of, they Starfleet won, like they didn't have any bite after that. Right. Like that was it. But for that storyline, like that, like I remember as a kid, like seeing, like on that episode where they're going in to try to save Picard, and all of a sudden, like he turns and you just see like the mechanical thing and like the laser, and you're like, oh fuck, like this is not good at all.
And that was the series, like that season's finale. So you had to wait all the way to the next season to find out what happened. I was like, oh yeah.
And I felt like during the original series that really gave Riker a chance to step up, right? And like show what he can do as captain, and kind of working with the rest of Starfleet and these like coordinated maneuvers. And then you had like Data working on like this system with the, like, what was it, like a tachyon system or something, right, and all of that. Like there was just a lot of cool stuff where it's like, okay, we lost Picard, but we still have all of these other people that do these great things, and we got all of Starfleet. We're gonna work together, and it was just a really cool storyline. So
and Star Trek First Contact was an amazing movie.
I'd have to go back and watch it. I don't remember.
Genuinely one of my favorite Star Trek movies. Probably number 2 after Wrath of Khan. I really like that. I know it's kind of a split storyline for that, but the stuff with the Borg
is that the one where it's got Kirk and them in it too?
No. Oh. That's Generations. Please don't watch that.
Okay. I get some after it's like, you know, Star Trek, what is it, 1 through 6, and then after that, it like when they started having names and stuff, I lost what is what.
Right. So First Contact is the one you want to watch. Jonathan Frakes, the guy who plays Riker, actually directs that movie, and they did it on a pretty low budget, but it's an amazing film, and the Borg are scary again in that one. I thought it was very well done. There's a lot of great emotion and really good acting in that. You know.
Gotcha. And then where's the one with is that the one with the Queen in it, or is that
yeah, that's the one with the Queen. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know, and but okay, so getting back to Picard, which is what we're supposed to be talking about. Sorry, I get sidetracked.
You're fine. It all rolls together.
Yeah.
Except for these 3 seasons, they don't roll together.
Season 3 of Picard is what I wish that the Star Trek prequels or Star Wars prequels had been done in form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it was like you can have new characters, but don't completely abandon all the things that we loved about the original thing.
I did like the fact that they brought in Geordi's daughters, and so you got to kind of learn them. The captain of the Titan. You've got the other character that we're not mentioning from season 3, because he's kind of a big character. But like they brought in all these folks, but at the same time, like you said, they spent time with all the veteran folks as well. The biggest, I guess, gripe that I have with season 3 is that it felt like they were trying to cram too much into one season, and therefore you get these moments where it's like, you know, it's the crew, the next gen crew versus everybody, like the whole fucking universe.
You're right.
And it's like, okay, you know, like really all they'd have to do is target their ship and, you know, blow them out of the water, but they're like preoccupied with something else. It's like, but you know that these guys, like, if you're going to have a downfall, they're your only possibility of having a downfall. So maybe just turn your attention to them and just, you know, take them out real quick. I don't know. It's just, there was just some convenient stuff in there as far as how they got information, as far as, you know, just fighting the big bad at the end. It just felt like it was rushed.
I think on Offworld, it's been a minute, but I have complained about modern story pacing before. And that's exactly what I think it is. I think that nowadays, majority of the viewership has maybe a shorter attention span, and that studios feel like if they lose the audience, it's gone. People just turn off and not go back to it because there's so much and it's all on demand. You don't have to wait a week to see the episode anymore. You just wait and stream the whole thing all at once. So I think modern pacing, like shows have a much faster pace. There's not a lot of slow burn in modern television, you know, and whether or not that's the truth or just a perception, it's what's happening. And I just don't see the intricate slow burn storytelling that we used to enjoy when we were younger, you know.
Well, you can see it just by looking at how many episodes you get in a season now, right? Like you used to get, 22 to 24 episodes in a season. Now, if you get 10, like that's pretty good. Like that's about the most you're going to get. And so they're trying to tell these long stories in a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
And,
with no filler, you know, and that's a shame with Star Trek because in the older shows, those are something that I really enjoyed was like not every episode was, it might be the end of the universe. It's okay to go to a planet and just have a first contact mission with weird aliens, you know, and I thought that stuff was super interesting.
Season 2, where he's just like sitting in the bar talking to young Guinan about like how they're going, like their relationship in the future and stuff. Like that's one of my favorite parts of the series. Right. You know, just like them sitting around talking. One perfect example of the pacing and the convenience and stuff is like towards the end of season 3, like there's this part where you feel like maybe a few of them are going to die, right? And they don't know where they're at. And then all of a sudden, Deanna's just like, I know where they are, and like goes and sits at like the console and like I guess flies the ship over there and beams them out. And it's just like, okay, she can do that, I guess. Like she just,
and that's not a total departure from her character,
I mean,
she's a Betazoid, right? So
I've never really saw her sit at a console and fly the ship and do all that. Like it's just
the doctor runs the weapon systems in an
that
episode?
made more sense to me because in the story she's been gone for years and she's been on the run and she's been fighting these other people and stuff. So she's, the fact that she's learned some things along the way, like that didn't really faze me too much. But like the last time we saw Deanna, her and Riker just kind of like sitting on a farm, right? Like making pizza and
but she's psionic, I guess.
I get the knowing where they're at. It's the sitting at the controls and flying. Yeah, like if she just said, I know where they're at, like and kind of directed them towards it. Like
right.
Yeah, it's the fact that she kind of sat in that seat and flew the ship. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's valid.
Everyone takes piloting 101. Yeah,
that's true.
I think if you're trying to escape from the Borg, as well as all of Starfleet trying to kill you, maybe that's not the time for the counselor to try to sit at the controls. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Hey, Data, fly it over here.
Right. No shit. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad I watched it. I did feel like there was a lot of callbacks, a lot of like it made me almost want to just go back and watch the next gen series, right? Yeah. So I guess my next question, Joe, is what do I watch next?
So you're up to date on Strange New Worlds, right?
I'm up to date on Strange New Worlds. I've seen all of the original series. I've seen all of Next Gen. I've seen all of Deep Space Nine. I've seen all of Voyager. Mm-hmm. But I have not watched Enterprise, Discovery, Lower Decks. Is there something else I'm missing?
Prodigy was the new one with Janeway, but I think they canceled it after season 2. It's another animated one. I definitely
didn't see that.
I think I watched all of the first season, and it's maybe based.
I was surprised we didn't see her. They mentioned her several times, and then we never saw her.
Yeah, I don't know why with that one.
That was weird.
Especially because this isn't a spoiler, kind of, but seeing Tuvok pop in was really cool. Like I enjoyed that a lot.
The fact that they mentioned, like, I was like, if they didn't mention her, I wouldn't have expected to see her.
Right.
But the fact that they mentioned her like 3 times and then you never see her, I was like, that's kind of weird.
So the actress, her voice is in the animated series for Prodigy.
Oh, okay.
But it seems like it's based like towards a more younger audience. Like Lower Decks is animated, but it's obviously not for a young audience, right?
Yeah.
Quite the opposite, I think. But Prodigy seems like it's directed towards and I agree with that. But like I said, there was 2 seasons. I've only watched season 1. I thought it was interesting, but definitely based towards a younger audience.
So Prodigy and Lower Decks are both animated.
Yes, but Lower Decks is fantastic. I love Lower Decks. The showrunner for Lower Decks, it's the same showrunner for the whole series.
Yeah. See, that's what Van was telling me I should watch next. Would you watch that over Discovery or Enterprise?
You're killing me here, buddy. It's not that kind of a race. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying for what I'm watching now. I'm not saying I'm gonna watch one and not the other, but as far as like what I would queue up next.
Lower Decks is a ton of fun.
Okay.
It's a really, really fun show. And it's not the epic storytelling that you're gonna. I mean, it's Lower Deck. It's the Lower Deckers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're. It's an extremely entertaining show, but it's not going to have like the I don't know if I agree with that because you've watched Strange New Worlds. I
Yeah.
would suggest Discovery next.
Gotcha. Because Pike is a part of that.
Pike is the captain of the Discovery in season 2. He's filling in. That's by
But
far
not
the best.
season 1.
No. There's a storyline to it.
Okay.
For the first 3 seasons, they have a different captain every season.
Okay.
But it fits the storyline of it. And actually plays into the Section 31 movie that they just came out with also.
Oh, okay.
With Philip Giorgio. Once you watch the series, it'll make more sense. There was a whole lot of hate for Discovery, especially when it started.
Mm-hmm.
So the main character is a female.
Yeah, it's the chick from Walking Dead, right? Because she like got killed off in that series to go start that one.
I don't know because I don't really watch TV, but
that was my understanding. That because she was a pretty big character in Walking Dead, and she got killed off, and they're like, yeah, well, that's because she's gonna go star in this other thing.
Okay.
So.
Well, so the character was very divisive. Like a lot of people had a lot of opinions on it. She's pretty obnoxious, especially in the first season.
Okay.
She is, but intentionally written that way so that the character can grow emotionally as the seasons continue, right?
Okay.
So I mean, there was a lot of hate online for this character and what they were doing with the show, and I just didn't get it. I didn't because I could totally see what the writers were doing. Like this is an inexperienced character with a very strong belief in her own morals.
Yeah.
That made her make decisions that were foolish decisions. She's a young character that's growing. You know what I mean? Like I could totally.
No, I know what you mean exactly because I was just finished watching the second season of Last of Us with Darla, and like watching like the character in that series like make these really freaking dumb decisions, and you're like you're just really stupid. Like you are absolutely stupid. And then after seeing other people make the same dumb decisions that you're making, and you didn't learn from their mistakes, and now you're making the same mistakes, like it's just dumb. But at the same time, it's a young, stupid kid, and that's what young, stupid people do, right?
Guilty.
Like I mean, I've told my kids numerous times, like when they start acting like they're smarter than everybody else, I'll tell them like, listen, you may think that you know a lot now, but later on in life, you're going to look back to where you are right now and realize you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying that. I'm telling you, you're going to think that about yourself, because I think it about myself, and I know everybody else my age that thinks back to when they were this age and they realize they didn't know near as much as they thought they did. Yep. And that's just a fact of life. So I see what you're saying. Like, if you start off with a character, already kind of making all the right decisions and doing all the right things, like that's boring. Like you got to be able, right. You got to have some development. So,
and that's what it is. And it'll tie into some things that you'll learn in the story that you're just kind of like, well, that was an interesting decision. like I get some of what people are saying. So, but at the same time, I feel like if you give it a chance, it will grow on you. The characters are very well written. Their chief engineer character, I think he's an engineer, scientist, whatever, is one of my favorite characters in Star Trek. He's just the super snarky, like wise ass, always making comments about everybody type of character. I ended up.
Is that why you like me?
Yes. Yeah.
I love your facial expressions.
That's it exactly. But I think the characters are very well written. There's a lot of interesting characters in there. They included an alien that's very alien in the main cast, and the actor who plays him is actually a character actor. He played some of the monsters for Guillermo del Toro in some of his movies.
Okay.
They're very strange, so like he moves
Labyrinth.
Like Labyrinth, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what movies. I know for sure he was in the second Hellboy as one of the monsters, but But the way he moves, but he's also an extremely good actor. So he's this super alien looking character that has a very deep range of emotions and is a very interesting character. I like the captain in the first season, who, and I know Curtis is going to say the same thing. He's a huge jerk through the whole season. And yes, that's why I like you, Curtis, because you're a huge jerk. But I think it fits. Like there's still a military organization. Like, not everybody's going to be, peace, love, and rainbows, some people are going to take their job like really serious, and I know he rubbed some people the wrong way. I think he's a fantastic actor and did a very good job with his role.
You know what, real quick, while you're talking about that, because it just popped into my head, the captain of the Titan in season 3, I loved that character. Like that character, that season starts and you're like, this guy's an asshole. Like, this guy's a total jerk. Like, not a snarky whatever asshole, just an asshole. Just like, he has no respect for the things that have been done before, about the accomplishments that these folks have had and all this and that. And then like shit hits the fan and you kind of get some true drunk talk from him, right? And you get to understand why he feels the way that he feels. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. And this is a really well-written character.
Yeah.
And then like by the end of the season, I'm like, man, I really like that guy. Like, I just felt like that the whole storyline of his was really well done from start to finish.
Yeah.
And that is, kind of like you were talking before about the Star Wars movies. Like, that's a way that you can introduce a new character and tell a great story and make you have feelings about this character. Like, man, I really don't like them. And then you're like, oh man, I really can sympathize with them. And then and then at the end, like, you see like his growth with how he relates to Seven and stuff. Right. Yeah. Like it's, and it's one of those characters, kind of like you, that acts all real tough on the outside, but on the inside, they've got a tender heart,
Absolutely a marshmallow. Yep.
Yeah. So I thought that character was just super well written. I wanted to make sure I brought that up because they did a great job with him.
Yeah. So that's what I would actually, I would recommend Discovery next. Now something will happen in Discovery that I did not like. They changed it again. I feel like the show had a pace and they were going where they wanted to go. And then they're like, oh no, the internet is yelling at us. And they totally jump in a different trajectory completely. And it's not that the show got bad after that,
but it's different.
But it's different in a way that I didn't like. That felt super unnecessary. Like it felt like it wasn't planned. Like it was something that they just did as a reaction to people complaining about the show. So we can talk about that when you get to that point, because you'll know what I'm talking about. I kind
of felt that way about Deep Space Nine. Like at first it was like, okay, this is kind of this cool like space station area. Like, you get to see all these kind of people kind of coming in and going out. It's like it
was Cheers in space.
Yeah. Basically, it's like what was that wave of cosmic?
so much
the Outpost Daxia wave, right?
Right.
It's like that. But then they did that thing where they had like that one ship that was like this, like the best ship ever, and it can do all these things. And they started going out on all these missions and doing the like I didn't need all that. Like, I just wanted the space station shit.
They ended up doing the Dominion War, and the Dominion War wasn't bad, but the technology at the time, like they talk about the war. It's almost like reading the old Tolkien books, where they're like, they talk about the battles. Like, you got to see the battles in the movie, but in the books, they're just like, hey, this is what happened. And that's how I kind of felt with Deep Space Nine, is just like, oh, there was this terrible battle that we were a part of. And then they talk about it, and it's like, I would have really liked to have seen that. Cool. But the technology wasn't there at the time, to do some of that stuff.
I just felt like they strayed from the original story. Like, I don't know. I just like I thought that ship was cool, and I thought what they were doing with that was cool, but I would have rather that had been its own separate show.
The original concept was so much based over Cheers, like the bar feel. Morn, that alien that never talks that sits at the end of the bar.
Mhm.
His name is an anagram for Norm. From Cheers.
I didn't even notice that, but okay.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That is, but but then I think they did start to feel like maybe the show was getting a little boring and they wanted to inject some life into it. But
yeah,
just depends on what kind of Star Trek you like, I guess. But so I would say Discovery, then Lower Decks, and then because Discovery's last season is getting ready to come out or came out already. They're only doing 5 seasons. The 5th season will be the last one. And then Lower Decks just because it's so much fun. And then Enterprise because it's just not as relevant to modern things that are going on. But when that show came out, a lot of people pooped all over it. And I think it's amazing. I really like it. You just have to think it's that much farther in the past.
Right. I think that's why I didn't poop on it, but why I wasn't interested in it. Right. Because it's like we went, original series, we went next gen. I loved Voyager, and it's like everything's going further and further in the future, and it's getting further towards that, like you were talking about, kind of utopian view of humanity. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna go back, and we're gonna
not
go
just
before,
back,
before all of it.
Beginning.
Yeah, and it's like, and so it's like now the technology's not going to be as great. The weapons aren't going to be as great. They're not going to know all these, like some of the cool thing about like the other shows was seeing these new alien races and new planets and all this kind of, and it's like, okay, now we're going to go back to all the shit we already know. So, yeah.
But that being said, and I agree with all of those points because I didn't watch very much Enterprise when it was on the air. Exactly because of that, because it was just too much of a jump backwards for me. Going back as an adult and rewatching the series, the storytelling is done very well. The acting is really good. Like they tell good stories. It's just way back,
Gotcha.
and feels a little off. But there's an episode that's one of my favorites where they find a Vulcan ship that's like stranded in this and I can't remember what the area is called, but there's like a bunch of spatial anomalies in this place. It's really dangerous. Like people aren't supposed to go there. And this Vulcan like science ship goes there to like check it out or whatever. And do we have a slide? We
don't have a slideshow now. I'll see if Bud can throw one together.
The way that this anomaly affects Vulcan minds, it doesn't affect humans that way, but the way it affects Vulcans, it basically turns them into zombies. They're not dead, but they're like feral. Yeah. That episode was amazing. Like I remember watching that and going like, this is cool as shit. Like I love this episode. It's just getting through the slow trudge of the technology not being the same.
Yeah, I think it might just be kind of like the visuals and how they set it up, because I mean, when you think about it, Strange New World is before all the stuff that we had before, right? Like it's before the regular series, it's before, but it doesn't feel like that. Like it still feels in the future. But when I would see like, I tried watching an episode of Enterprise and I saw some like trailers and stuff, and I'm like, it just looked janky and old and beat up, and like it didn't look like it was in the future.
Right. So yeah, because in a way it's the first like deep space vessel that they send out.
Right.
So I mean that's by design, but maybe not the best choice. But I still really enjoyed the show.
I will start on Discovery then, and then after I'm done with Discovery, we'll have a conversation about that one.
Strange New World is freaking killing it.
Did you finish the season?
Yeah, I did finish the season, and I hate that cliffhanger ending where you're just like, yeah, I want to know what happens. Yeah.
But they finished strong, like that musical episode. But the one after that, like, dude, that was good.
That was good. Really good.
What do you think about them, like, as they're going back and kind of doing these, like, I guess, prequel series and stuff? changing some of the alien races that we know already, like in terms of how they look, how they act, how they,
Not a huge fan,
Yeah.
to be honest. Maybe just it's just when you're a super fan of something,
Mhm.
you don't want the continuity to change.
Yeah.
And then they're also, because I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Could it be one of the villains of the show? Is
Yeah,
that
the
what
very
you're talking
last
about?
at the end of the season.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so if you watch the original series, that's really, really different. And I mean, not
Yes.
even in a way that you can like fudge it
Justify it.
over. Like,
Yeah, no.
it's just they're just like, we're doing something different with this.
Right.
And because it was a misunderstanding in the original series. Like even the fight that they had was a misunderstanding. It wasn't.
Mhm.
And now don't get me wrong. What they're doing is cool as shit. I love it.
Mhm.
I just wish they hadn't attached that name to it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Make it a new thing.
Well, I kind of felt the same way when Next Generation first started, when we saw Klingons, because Klingons in Next Gen did not look like Klingons that we saw in the original series, right? Like it was night and day.
Mhm.
But then you just get used to it. Like, just.
Yeah, but it wasn't personality wise, it wasn't so much of a change. Like it was just a visual.
It was just a
thing.
visual. Yeah. This is visual and
Complete
everything
origin
else.
change.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's really freaking cool what they're doing. I just wish it wasn't them. So
Starscream says, are they changing them or versions we watched originally, the changed ones? And then says, just being a dick. I agree. I wish they'd try to fit into what we already watched. I mean, it doesn't have to be the exact same. Obviously, technology has improved. You can do cooler things. You can make things look a lot better than what you did back then. I'm not expecting puppets and giant suits and stuff like that. But if you're going to call it the same race, it would be nice if there was some sort of tie-in, both visually and storyline wise. Yeah.
The storyline part is what gets me. They seem like something completely different
and way more scary, right? Like it's almost like it's the boogeyman. Like
they're terrifying. But the way they're presented doesn't feel like they would be building spaceships that with faster than light capabilities.
Yeah,
maybe. You know what I
mean? They seem very feral and savage, and not.
So maybe we just haven't given them enough time to develop the whole thing. Maybe they'll explain everything.
Or maybe we've only seen the dumb ones.
Right.
They've got scientist versions that are just really smart.
That's their plan. They're just like, we'll just dump all the dumb ones on our enemies. That's how we'll defeat them.
That might be it. We may see one next season that speaks 5 languages and does calculus.
Right. But I have to admit though, those are some of my favorite episodes. Are the ones that are downright intense and scary. I don't know if I'd call them scary, but they're almost like thrillers.
Yeah.
I like when they throw a little bit of a horror aspect into, places where it doesn't necessarily fit,
Okay. So season 2, Picard is in a coma, which I don't think is too spoilery, but he's got something going on. There's this story as he's out.
He's in a coma? Ah, jeez, I didn't know.
Sorry. What did you think about that? Because it's he's having visions of when he was younger, right? What did you think about that story part of it?
I think that once they explained everything in season 3, that I enjoyed it. I felt like it was a little weak in the beginning, and it's just okay, they did it, and I was like, okay, well, they're doing that. But
I was
the
confused.
fact that there was actually a payoff made me feel a lot better about it.
I felt the same. I was confused in season 2. I'm like, what are we supposed to be getting from this? His mom's crazy, or his dad beat her, or he has PTSD from something. I didn't really get it. And then, like you said, once season 3 played out, it was like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. And now
they did probably overdo it a little bit with the flashbacks.
Yeah.
It did feel like a little bit unnecessary exposition because there was just so much. Like I do feel like that could have been condensed down a little bit just to be less depressing. You know? But
yeah. Same thing with the whole the lady that they have to kind of get her to complete her mission in season 2 on the shuttle.
I'm drawing
the astronaut.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Like that felt very drawn out as well.
Yes.
Like just like, you know, just very
drawn out.
Yeah. It's like, okay, like let's move this story along. So, but
yeah. So,
all right. Well,
but overall, Curtis.
Overall, I would say, if you watched Next Gen as a kid and you liked Next Generation, but you're not a huge Star Wars fan overall, you just like Next Generation, I would say just watch season 3. If you love Star Trek, like pretty much all of Star Trek, anything that you've watched for the most part, you really enjoy the characters, the callbacks, all that, I would say all 3 seasons have some benefit. I really enjoyed season 1. There were parts of season 2 I enjoyed. Season 3 is amazing. So it just depends. If you just like Next Gen, though, just skip to season 3. So yeah, and you're not going to miss anything by doing that.
Hey, and here's a special OffWorld moment for everyone, because this isn't something you're going to hear very often.
Oh boy!
Ooh,
I agree with Curtis.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yeah, Curtis almost completely nailed it.
I'm recording this.
No. Everybody needs to forget about this part. But no, Curtis pretty much nailed it. Yeah, I agree.
Beautiful. Well, I will start on Discovery, and then we'll maybe get back together and do one of these afterwards. Now, I did see a few people. I know it's not a Star Trek series, but I saw a few people mention Orville on here. And I think I've talked with you about this, that you said that you enjoyed that series, right?
So I watched the maybe 3 or 4 episodes before.
Oh, okay.
And then it changed, right, to a different streaming service or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what happened. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes and I thought it was good.
Okay.
And it's funny, and it's got a Seth MacFarlane kind of, and I know people say it gets more serious as it goes. What bothers me is when people are saying that it's better than Star Trek, because it's its own thing. And if you think it's better than Star Trek, you're watching Star Trek wrong. So that's it.
There you go.
Story.
There you go.
So, nothing against Orville, but
yeah,
you're watching Star Trek wrong.
I will probably give it a chance at some point, but I've just got other stuff I want to watch before that, and that includes the 3 that we just talked about in that order. So Discovery, Lower Decks, and then Enterprise, and then we'll see. Then we'll talk Orville, possibly, maybe. If something else doesn't jump it in the list. So, well,
I might have something for you, but we'll talk about that.
All right. So, listen, I've been on a kick over the last, I don't know, year and a half of really watching a lot of like space series. I went through Stargate, which was awesome. Went through Stargate Atlantis. Went through Battlestar Galactica, and then jumped on some of these other Star Trek series.
Did you watch Expanse?
Yes, I loved it.
Okay, so there's something interesting. I've never watched it, but one of my favorite video game companies, Owlcat Games, makes amazing RPGs, is doing an Expanse video game.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
If you have not checked it out, Joe, you should check it out. You would love it. It is a great series. Yes, and there is a character in that, when you talk about kind of the lovable assholes. There's a character in that totally fits that bill as one of my favorite characters of like just all time. So
hey, right on, awesome. Yeah.
So,
I was excited. They just announced it like a few days ago that they're doing an Expanse video game, and I was kind of like, oh, Owlcat's doing it, because they just did a Warhammer game that was freaking awesome. So.
That's cool. I didn't I thought I saw that that Larian had announced a new game coming out too.
Oh, I totally missed that somehow.
I could have swore. And it's kind of a D&D type game, but obviously it's not Baldur's Gate. Maybe
Divinity?
Maybe.
Divinity Original Sin is their own license. That's kind of the game that made them famous. Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2.
And the game you're talking about is Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader.
It is absolutely amazing, by the way. Like,
I watched somebody on live stream actually play it. I haven't played it myself, and it looked pretty darn cool.
it's cool. It's really cool.
Pretty sick.
I guess it's one that they're working on. It's not supposed to be out till 2028, so we still got like 3 years. But I guess it is a sequel to Divinity Original Sin. So,
okay, cool. That's like their flagship license. Not license because they own it, but
we can talk about that at EgentSCon 2028.
Yeah, there you go. It's an event horizon for not this week, next week, because this week I won't be on OffWorld. I'll be on a different channel competing with OffWorld.
Ooh.
You might. Will you be competing with OffWorld? I don't know if we're really the competing type show.
I already told. So they had sent me which is Outer Dimensions, by the way. That's the show I'll be on because I know
finally learned the name of the show you're going to be on.
Shut up. I said they were asking me if I was still good to go this week. And I said, side note, we'll be going head to head with my normal show, and I want to bury them. I said, I already told them that they're dead to me. so there you go.
Well, hopefully we can find somebody to run the show because I don't know how to push the button.
It's fucking easy. It's not hard at all. All right, folks. Well, that is our story on Picard. So check it out. At least watch season 3. If you're not going to watch anything else, watch season 3. But I think there's benefit in all of it. And then we'll be getting back together after I finish Discovery, which at the pace that I view a series should be pretty quick.
Yeah, probably like next week. I should probably watch the last season because you'll probably beat me there.
I would say, what did you say? There's like 5 seasons?
Yeah, 5 seasons.
I should probably be able to finish that within a month, maybe a little bit more. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
I did not forget Stargate Universe. But that's not, it's moved a little bit down on the, because mostly because Len told me not to watch it. So I have a few people telling me to watch it, but then Len said it's garbage. So I got to balance that out.
Gotcha.
So,
and Len's the Stargate super fan, right?
He is a Stargate super fan. He loved Atlantis. He loved the regular, but Stargate Universe, he said, not so much. So, but he also told me he didn't watch the whole series because he just couldn't get into it. But it's also one of those where they it got canceled early. I think it only had 1 or 2 seasons before they canceled it, and so it kind of leaves on a cliffhanger. So that's part of why I don't think he finished watching it, because he knew there's not a satisfying ending to it. So,
right. That makes sense.
But anyhow,
all right, folks. 1 season. So,
well, that's Star Trek. Star Trek's awesome. It's better than Star Wars. Don't forget it.
It is.
Yep. And until next time, we will see you on the OffWorld. Later.